Welcome back to our webcast, and Danny, we've got some big time games this weekend, and I think we're gonna differ on a few of our views. Let's start off at the top 5A. Pflugerville, Stony Point, two teams tied for the top with Leander. They're playing at Stony Point. What do you think?
Well, Stony Point is kind of one of the surprise teams this year. They're going to be riding a lot of momentum coming off last week versus Leander, and I think that they have a big enough offense to get it done. They need to limit Pflugerville being able to make big plays on defense because the last week against Cedar Park and 2 weeks against Georgetown, Pflugerville's defense made some huge plays to carry them to
Justin
wins.
Sorrell made 2 touchdowns on defense.
Yeah, so I think if Stony Point can limit that, I think they can pull up the win. And because Nick McKissick isn't making many mistakes. He only has 2 interceptions this year, and Seth Patterson, Stony Point's one of their wide receivers. I think he might be one of the best wide receivers in Central Texas outside of Jason Bird over at Lake Travis. So I gotta say I like Stony Point in this one.
I think ever since Pflugerville lost that 37-36 game in Leander, they've been on a mission, and they beat a pretty good Cedar Park team 28-14 last week. And I'm going to take Pflugerville in this game. They've got 3 great running backs, but what I really like about them is they got a very steady quarterback named Brandon Wilson. He puts it all together, and he's a good passer too. Second game. This is an interesting game because Manor has kind of gone under the radar in the last, all season. They're playing LBJ, and the winner will take sole possession of the district in first place right there. And this is one interesting game.
Yeah, well, Manor, they've won 7 straight games, so I think it's time to start taking notice of them. LaMarcus Thompson, he's one of their wide receivers. He has 6 touchdown catches, so he seems to be a favorite target of Riley Beecher over in the Manor offense. And, they've only beat 1 team with a winning record this season, but I think after Friday night it's going to be 2. I like Manor in this game.
I like Manor in this game too, but I'm going to take LBJ. A little bit more firepower. I love Derek Grant at wide receiver. He's a Division I wide receiver for college football. He just hasn't been taken yet. I think it's going to be a heck of a football game. They've already sold out the stadium in Manor, and they're going to get a new stadium next year, so things are happening in Manor. Third game, Connolly, Lake Travis, the 2 best teams in their district, and the winner of this game is probably going to wind up winning that district. You go first. I think you like Connolly, don't you?
I do. I like an upset in this game. Defense wins championship. It's a cliche, but it's true. And in 2 of the last 3 games, Connolly's defense has held their opponent to 7 points or less. And the one game that they didn't was against Burnett, and Burnett ran the ball. And what's the one thing Lake Travis doesn't really do? Run the ball.
No,
they're more of a passing team, and I think Connolly's defense is going to be able to contain Garrett Gilbert enough. I'm not saying that they're going to shut him out, but I think they're going to be able to contain him enough for Darius Starks and the rest of the Connolly offense to put up enough points to win.
They do have an excellent defense. I'm going to go with Lake Travis because of the person that you mentioned. Garrett Gilbert is maybe the best quarterback in Central Texas, period. And he's got a favorite wide receiver by the name of Jason Bird. Seems like every time I look up, he's catching 10 passes or more in a game. And they beat Dripping Springs last week, 34-24, and Jason caught 12 passes for 166 yards. And that's somebody that Connolly's going to have to worry about, but could go either way. Last but not least, the number 1 team in the state in Class 3A has a home game against Caldwell. Caldwell's not a team that we've heard much about this year, but they're in the top 10 this year, and they're undefeated. Giddings is undefeated. Go for it.
Caldwell, they have a nice team up there. They're definitely, they probably could have a chance at making a run during the playoffs, but they're not Giddings. Giddings, in my opinion, is easily the best team in 3A right now. And, they probably had their biggest challenge last week with Navasota, and they beat them, by 7. And I don't see a drop-off this week.
I see a little bit of a drop-off last week. They only won by a touchdown against a very good Navasota team. I'm going to take this as maybe the upset of the year. I think that Giddings has been sliding by with some very close wins. Caldwell is a dangerous team that no one's talked about. They have a couple wide receivers, Xavier Cantu and Ferris Sims. They combined for 293 yards in a victory over LaGrange last week. And this is the game of the year for both of those teams as far as the regular season goes. And I see a little bit of an upset, but then again, upset's the name of the game. Look at the Colorado Rockies.
You betcha.
See you.